you said it the other day about not targeting pain points. Well, hang on, I've heard that advice by dozens of coaches in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, you always get clear on the pain points of your particular client, then you talk about them.
Should we dive into that for a minute or two on the pain point? Because I think, I imagine people listening to this are still going to be scratching their heads a little bit at that and thinking, well, hold on a minute. I've heard that too. And what's wrong with it? We want to attract people like ourselves. We want to attract people who are in a higher level of consciousness, who are connected to purpose, who are driven and ambitious, and all the good stuff. So what does that mean? Here's what works instead of pain points.
What I like is when you kind of pull apart something that I've naturally assumed to be the way it's always done. That's the first time I've heard that. So that kind of made me sort of think a little bit differently about that.
And tell me this, Mark, if we come back to truth, where we started this whole conversation, and invitation to you here to step into your your deepest truth of this situation. I know how this feels for me. How does it feel to you to market like that? How does it feel to market to people's pain points?
Yeah, I guess it kind of puts you in a kind of lower energy state. Because I'm putting myself in their shoes and where I was, it might put them in a place of more kind of desperation, lack. I'm just thinking about it now. What are the kind of responses I get from a post like that, as opposed to something that is more aspirational and positive?
Yeah.
Generally, what I find gets the biggest response is when I go and share my story, my own unique story, the challenges I've experienced, and how the lessons I learned on the way, and how it got to where I am today. Those are the ones that really kind of
because there's connection and inspiration there. And thanks for your honesty on that, Mark. I'm with you. And should we dive into that for a minute or two on the pain point? Because I think, I imagine people listening to this are still going to be scratching their heads a little bit at that and thinking, well, hold on a minute. I've heard that too. And what's wrong with it? And I think what you said there, Mark, would give them a bit of insight. So there's a couple of things to it. As you said, as conscious, evolved entrepreneurs, as people who are connected to the world of energy and consciousness, we recognize that when we market in that way, well, first of all, it is marketing from a lower level of consciousness. It's marketing from, speaking to and stirring pain as well. If we're people tell us to do that, right? They tell us to stir the pot of pain when it comes to marketing. And yes, people it's important for people to see people need to be able to feel the pain. This is also stages of healing, right? Like, pain is not something we want to avoid. People need to be able to merge with the pain, to be able to feel that in order to create change, right? In order to connect to their energy, in order to deepen their connection. So we're not saying that pain is a bad thing. But what we're saying is, what type of energy does that put you in? How does that pervade to the rest of your communication, creation, work? Who are we actually creating this for? Are we creating it? Because the people, if we're creating from a place of lack and scarcity and desperation, if that's the energy that's driving our creation, I can guarantee that if someone is in that form of marketing, their business will be created from that place as well. And what happens is we attract those people. So the cycle just proliferates. We attract people who are in lack and scarcity. For your people, Mark, for my people, and for the people who we want to attract. We want to attract people like ourselves. We want to attract people who are in a higher level of consciousness, who are connected to purpose, who are driven and ambitious, and all the good stuff. So what does that mean? Here's what works instead of pain points. Helping them to see the gap between where they are and the gap between where they are and where they want to be. I'll say that again. Helping them to see the gap between where they are and where they want to be. If you want to take it one layer further, helping them to see the gap between where they are and who they want to be.
Right.
Because if you're most of the time, it's not that they are going to be unaware of their pain points. It will be that they've met them, and we can connect and allude to, okay, this is your situation, and this is how you might be feeling, and this is where you want to be. And or just hint at that, like, this is the person you need to become. And if we can help to support them in seeing that gap and finding a way to bridge that gap between the vision they undoubtedly have and are connected into, because they're that type of person, cool, now I know I'm speaking to the right people. I know that I'm speaking to people who are already connected into like both the frustrations and the vision of where they're at. They know what they want, and they know that they need to evolve to get there, and they just don't know the hows of that. Cool. Okay, we can have a conversation. This is going to be a good conversation between with good people.